Currency production is not an easy or simple task, but one that involves precision, highly trained and skilled craftspeople, specialized equipment, and a combination of traditional, old-world printing techniques merged with sophisticated, cutting-edge technology. Since 1862, BEP been entrusted with the mission of manufacturing the nation's currency. All U.S. currency is printed at our facility in Washington, D.C. and at our facility in Fort Worth, Texas. In addition to manufacturing U.S. paper currency, BEP also prints a variety of U.S. government security documents. The design starts with ideas and rough sketches from our banknote designers, who develop the overall look, layout, and artistic details. They work closely with engravers, who use a combination of traditional and modern techniques to engrave the portrait on the front, the vignette on the back, the ornamentation, and the lettering. Each engraving consists of numerous detailed fine lines, dots, and dashes that vary in size and shape. The magnificent artistry and skill of the engraver brings the portrait to life with an array of traditional tools and cutting-edge digital technology. The intricate carvings and etchings that we see every day on our paper currency are engraved into a network of fine lines and grooves into steel dies that are transferred and processed to create working printing plates. After careful inspection and minor repair if needed, these plates are cleaned and polished. The working plate is chrome-plated for hardness and is then ready to go on the printing press. All notes, regardless of denomination, use green ink on the backs. Faces, on the other hand, use a combination of black ink, color-shifting ink in the lower right-hand corner for the $10 denominations and higher, and metallic ink for the freedom icons on redesigned $10, $20, and $50 bills. The $100 note spell in the inkwell freedom icon uses color-shifting ink. These and the other inks appearing on U.S. currency are specially formulated and blended by BEP. Inks headed for BEP presses undergo continual quality testing. A fancy word for paper in the currency business is substrate. U.S. currency paper is composed of 25% linen and 75% cotton, with red and blue fibers distributed randomly throughout to make imitation more difficult. The paper is made specifically for the Bureau of Engraving and Printing by Crane Currency in Dalton, Massachusetts, and it is illegal for anyone other than BEP to possess this paper. Paper for the $5 bill and above is made with specific watermarks and security threads. While the percentage of counterfeit notes in circulation remains small, there are ever-evolving new techniques that we need to stay ahead of. Currency printing is built on the principle of layering each printing process on the substrate. Each print technology has a unique fingerprint on how the ink transfers from the plate, the inks they use and how it lays on the substrate, thereby building security into the currency with every production step. The first step is adding color through offset printing. To accomplish this, BEP has 3 offset printing presses in DC, and 4 in our Texas facility. On this press, the face and back of the sheet is printed at the same time. All denominations, excluding the $1 and $2 notes, are printed in offset first, where detailed background images using unique colors are blended together as they are added to blank currency sheets. The background colors are then printed by state-of-the-art, high-speed, sheet-fed presses. These massive machines are more than 50 feet long and weigh more than 70 tons, capable of reaching speeds of 10,000 sheets per hour. In addition to online computer inspection, press operators will pull a sheet after every 500 impressions, approximately, and carefully examine it to ensure that the colors and alignment, which we call registration, remain consistent to our rigorous quality standards. Intaglio is the next layer of the printing process for the denominations that went through offset, and the first stage of printing for the $1 and the $2 notes. Here, ink is applied to the engraved plate. The excess ink is removed from the non-image area of the plate, thereby leaving ink only in the engraved recessed areas. Paper is then laid on top of the plate, and the two are pressed together under great pressure. As a result, the ink from the recessed areas is pulled onto the paper, creating a slightly raised finished image. When dried, the tactility feels like fine sandpaper. Intaglio printing is very specialized and used on high-value negotiable documents like currency and portions of passports. Intaglio is used for the portraits, vignettes, scrollwork, numerals, and lettering that is unique to each denomination. BEP's Intaglio presses have the latest technology to ensure the highest of quality and security of U.S. currency. The presses each weigh 57 tons and print with up to 20 tons of pressure. They can produce at speeds of 10,000 sheets per hour and can produce 32 or 50 notes per sheet. The Intaglio presses first print the back of the currency sheets in green ink. The sheets are then taken to a vault to dry for 3 days. A common work-in-process vault might contain $50 to $100 million of notes at any one time, depending on the denomination being printed. After the ink on the paper is dry, the faces of the notes are printed with black ink. The notes will dry again for another 3 days before going on to the next phase of production. At any given moment within the Washington, D.C. facility, for instance, there may be up to $300 million in various phases of production. To ensure only the highest quality sheets move to the numbering operation, sheets are thoroughly examined using OCIS, a state-of-the-art computer system integrated with cameras and sophisticated custom-built software to divide each note into 125,000 pixels or 4 million pixels for the entire sheet at a speed of 2½ sheets per second. OCIS completely analyzes loads for quantity and quality of untrimmed printed sheets, inspecting both sides of the currency sheets. Good sheets proceed forward for numbering, while rejected sheets are numbers and processed through a single note processing machine. Single note inspection, SNI, inspects and sorts finished numbered notes from the defective OCIS sheets, reclaiming good notes from destruction. These fit notes are either recovered from the finished product on quality hold, or reclaimed from the standard production waste streams. The third and final printed layer of U.S. currency is letterpress printing. During this process, the press feeds 2 16 subject sheets of currency and prints 2 green serial numbers, the black Universal Federal Reserve seal, the green Department of the Treasury seal, and the corresponding Federal Reserve identification numbers. BEP currency uses 2 types of letterpress equipment. At BEP we love acronyms. COPE/PAC combines a rotary letterpress and an automated finishing and packaging line. COPE presses have been specially designed for BEP to print and process 32 subject sheets of currency. 100 sheet stacks pass through 2 sharp guillotine cutters. The first cut is made horizontally, leaving the notes in pairs. The second cut is made vertically, and for the first time you see individual notes, 100 to a pile. These are bound with denomination bands. In the COPE/PAC section, there is a machine called 1,000 note bander. The rotating carousel collects 10 packages of notes and bands them together, resulting in a stack of 1,000 notes, one bundle. These notes are then shrink-wrapped and a barcode is affixed, which contains the note serial numbers and Federal Reserve Bank information. The next rotating carousel shrink-wraps 4 of these bundles into a final currency brick containing 4,000 notes. As a final stage, the 4 bricks are collated together and shrink-wrapped into a 16,000 note cash pack. From there, they are placed into the vault to await pickup by the Federal Reserve. One brick of $100 bills would contain $400,000, one skid of those bricks would contain $64 million. LEPI represents the newest generation in numbering and processing equipment for BEP. In February 2014, BEP ushered in a new era by printing currency on 50 subject sheets versus 32 notes per sheet. Sitting at 144 feet long, these mammoth machines are state-of-the-art, specifically designed for BEP, combining multiple currency production processes at once: full sheet examination, letterpress printing functions, product verification, and cutting and packaging currency. Currently, only $1 and $5 notes are produced in 50 subject sheet format. The $20 note is next in line for transition into the larger format and is scheduled to be in production by summer 2022. Vertical currency is a type of currency in which the orientation has been changed from the conventional horizontal orientation to a vertical orientation. Dowling Duncan, a self-touted multidisciplinary design studio, conducted a study in which they determined people tend to handle and deal with money vertically rather than horizontally, especially when the currency is processed through ATM and other money machines. They also note how money transactions are conducted vertically, not horizontally. Bermuda, Cape Verde, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, Switzerland, and Venezuela have adopted vertically oriented currency, though Cape Verde has now reverted to horizontal orientation. Since 1979, Sri Lanka has printed the reverse of its banknotes vertically. Between 1993 and 2013, Brazil has printed banknotes of 5,000 and 50,000 Cruzeiros Reis, and the first Brazilian Real series of banknotes has the obverse in traditional horizontal layout, while the reverse is in vertical format. The 2018 Hong Kong dollar banknote series 2 has the obverse in traditional horizontal layout, while the reverse is in vertical format. Early Chinese banknotes were also vertical, due to the direction of Chinese writing. The 2018 Canadian $10 bill featuring a portrait of Canadian civil rights pioneer Viola Desmond is presented in a vertical format. The Northern Irish £5 and £10 notes issued by Ulster Bank for 2019 were also presented in this way. In the late 20th century, vending machines were designed to recognize banknotes of the smaller values long after they were designed to recognize coins distinct from slugs. This capability has become inescapable in economies where inflation has not been followed by introduction of progressively larger coin denominations, such as the United States, where several attempts to make dollar coins popular in general circulation have largely failed. The existing infrastructure of such machines presents one of the difficulties in changing the design of these banknotes to make them less counterfeitable, that is, by adding additional features so easily discernible by people that they would immediately reject banknotes of inferior quality, for every machine in the country would have to be updated. A banknote is removed from circulation because of everyday wear and tear from its handling. Banknotes are passed through a banknote sorting machine to assess their authenticity and fitness for circulation, or may be classified unfit for circulation if they are worn, dirty, soiled, damaged, mutilated or torn. Unfit notes are returned to the central bank for secure online destruction by high-speed banknote sorting machines using a cross-cut shredder device similar to a paper shredder with security level P5, pieces smaller than 30 mm2, according to the standard DIN 66399-2. This small size decomposes a banknote into typically more than 500 tiny pieces and rules out reconstruction like a jigsaw puzzle because the shreds from many banknotes are commingled. A subsequent briquetter compresses shredded paper material into a small cylindrical or rectangular form for disposal, e.g. landfill or burning. Before the 1990s, unfit banknotes were destroyed by incineration, with a higher risk of manipulations. When a Federal Reserve Bank of the United States receives a cash deposit from a commercial bank or another financial institution, it checks the individual notes to determine whether they are fit for future circulation. About 1/3 of the notes that the Fed receives are unfit, and the Fed destroys them. US dollar banknotes last an average of more than 5 years. Contaminated banknotes are also decommissioned and removed from circulation, primarily to prevent the spread of diseases. A Canadian government report indicates. Types of contaminants include, notes found on a corpse, stagnant water, contaminated by human or animal body fluids such as urine, feces, vomit, infectious blood, fine hazardous powders from detonated explosives, die-pack and slash or drugs. In the US, the nickname Fed shreds refers to paper money which has been shredded after becoming unfit for circulation. Although these shredded banknotes are generally landfilled, they are sometimes sold or given away in small bags as souvenirs or as briquettes. Polymer banknotes may be shredded and then melted down and recycled to form plastic products like building components, plumbing fittings, or compost bins. Intelligent banknote neutralization systems, IBNS, are security systems which render banknotes unusable by marking them permanently as stolen with a degradation agent. Marked, stained, banknotes cannot be brought back into circulation easily and can be linked to the crime scene. Today's most used degradation agent is a special security ink which cannot be removed from the banknote easily and not without destroying the banknote itself, but other agents also exist. Today IBNSs are used to protect banknotes in automated teller machines, retail machines, and during cash-in-transit operations. Dynamic Intelligent Currency Encryption, DICE, is a security technology introduced in 2014 by British company EDAX, which devaluates banknotes remotely that are illegal or have been stolen. The technology is based on identifiable banknotes, that could be an RFID chip or a barcode, and connects to a digital security system to verify the validity of the banknote. The company claims that the banknotes are unforgeable and contribute to solve cash-related problems as well as fight crime and terrorism. In another note, the DICE benefits cover and solve almost all cash-related issues that are seen by governments to be a motivation for the progressive abolition of cash. In the United States there are many laws that allow the confiscation of cash and other assets from the bearer if there is suspicion that the money came from an illegal activity. Because a significant amount of U.S. currency contains traces of cocaine and other illegal drugs, it is not uncommon for innocent people searched at airports or stopped for traffic violations to have cash in their possession sniffed by dogs for drugs and then have the cash seized because the dog smelled drugs on the money. It is then up to the owner of the money to prove where the cash came from at his own expense. Many people simply forfeit the money. In 1994, the United States Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit, held in the case of United States of America v. U.S. Currency, $30,060, 39F.3D 103963 USLW 2351, No 92 to 55,919, that the widespread presence of illegal substances on paper currency in the Los Angeles area created a situation where the reaction of a drug-sniffing dog would not create probable cause for civil forfeiture. Banknote collecting, or notophily, is a slowly growing area of numismatics. Although generally not as widespread as coin and stamp collecting, the hobby is slowly expanding. Prior to the 1990s, currency collecting was a relatively small adjunct to coin collecting, but currency auctions and greater public awareness of paper money have caused more interest in rare banknotes and consequently their increased value. Most valuable banknote is the $1,000 bill issued in 1890 that was sold at an auction for $2,255,000. For years, the mode of collecting banknotes was through a handful of mail-order dealers who issued price lists and catalogs. In the early 1990s, it became more common for rare notes to be sold at various coin and currency shows via auction. The illustrated catalogs and event nature of the auction practice seemed to fuel a sharp rise in overall awareness of paper money in the numismatic community. The emergence of currency third-party grading services, similar to services that grade and slab, or encapsulate, coins, also may have increased collector and investor interest in notes. Entire advanced collections are often sold at one time, and to this day single auctions can generate millions in gross sales. Today, eBay has surpassed auctions in terms of highest volume of sales of banknotes. However, rare banknotes still sell for much less than comparable rare coins. This disparity is diminishing as paper money prices continue to rise. A few rare and historical banknotes have sold for more than $1 million. There are many different organizations and societies around the world for the hobby, including the International Banknote Society, IBNS, which currently assert to have around 2,000 members in 90 countries. The universal appeal and instant recognition of banknotes has resulted in a plethora of novelty merchandise that is designed to have the appearance of paper currency. These items cover nearly every class of product. Cloth material printed with banknote patterns is used for clothing, bed linens, curtains, upholstery, and more. Acrylic paperweights and even toilet seats with banknotes embedded inside are also common. Items that resemble stacks of banknotes and can be used as a seat or ottoman are also available. Manufacturers of these items must take into consideration when creating these products whether the product could be construed as counterfeiting. Overlapping note images and slash or changing the dimensions of the reproduction to be at least 50% smaller or 50% larger than the original are some ways to avoid the risk of being considered a counterfeit. But in cases where realism is the goal, other steps may be necessary. For example, in the stack of banknote seat mentioned earlier, the decal used to create the product would be considered counterfeit. However, once the decal has been affixed to the resin stack shell and cannot be peeled off, the final product is no longer at risk of being classified as counterfeit, even though the resulting appearance is realistic. The production of euro banknotes is a combined effort by the national central banks and the ECB. It begins with calculations for the number of banknotes required each year. Enough new banknotes need to be produced to replace unfit banknotes, to meet expected increases in demand, such as seasonal peaks, and to cope with unexpected surges in demand. Forecasts of the demand for euro banknotes for the year ahead are provided by the NCBs, and a central forecast is made by the ECB. Under the supervision of the ECB, the NCBs redistribute the banknotes to avoid shortages or surpluses in any one country. In order to produce the banknotes efficiently, printing is shared among the different NCBs. The ECB allocates production volumes to a number of NCBs, which then supply a specific proportion of the total annual production of one or more denominations. The respective bank bears the production costs for the share allocated. For example, the French, German and Italian central banks produced 1.7 billion €50 banknotes in 2017. 11 high-security printing works in Europe produce the banknotes. The notes are subsequently distributed among the different NCBs. This pooling arrangement and a common quality management system ensure a uniform standard for all euro banknotes. Throughout the production process, hundreds of manual and automated tests are performed to ensure that banknote denominations are identical regardless of where they were printed. Just like the first series of euro banknotes, the Europa series of banknotes are printed on pure cotton fiber paper, which gives them their special crispness and wear resistance. Certain security features, such as watermarks and embedded threads, form part of the paper itself. Different types of plates, special inks and several processes are used: offset and intaglio printing, hot stamping for the hologram and silk screen printing for the numbers that change colors. The euro system has logistical stocks and a strategic stock. The logistical stocks meet the demand for banknotes in normal circumstances in order to replace unfit, poor quality, banknotes returning from circulation, accommodate an expected increase in circulation, meet seasonal fluctuations in demand, and optimize banknote transportation between central bank branches. The strategic stock is intended for use in exceptional circumstances, i.e. when logistical stocks in the euro system are insufficient to cover an unexpected increase in the demand for banknotes or in the event of a sudden interruption in supply. Both stocks ensure that any changes in demand for banknotes can be handled at any time by the national central banks, irrespective of whether the demand comes from inside or outside the euro area. Banknotes can be made using polymer or specially blended paper through an intricate, safe, and thorough process. Here is some insight into how banknotes are made. This video is about the production of modern banknotes, the types of materials used, the inks, the logos, and so forth. We will also take a look at the process of making paper money. What materials are banknotes made from? You will be surprised that the paper used to make banknotes is actually more than paper, as it is made of a special blend of cotton and linen. The banknote paper for US currency notes, for example, is 75% cotton and 25% linen. It is this blend of the two natural materials that makes paper money so durable. That is why banknotes survive even a thorough washing without tearing up, when you forget one in your pockets. Not all currency notes are made with the above-mentioned paper. For example, in the UK, currency notes are made with polymer, which is more durable and counterfeit-proof than paper money. Polymer banknotes are made with a thin film of strong, durable plastic. It is said that this material allows the manufacturer of the banknotes to include clear portions in the note that cannot be counterfeited easily. Where paper money is more attractive to dirt, grease, and moisture, it is the exact opposite for the polymer notes since they can resist dirt very well. Thus, they are considered cleaner and safer. In the UK, £10 polymer note will be introduced into circulation in the summer of 2017. A 20 will follow by 2020 and a fiver is already in circulation. At least in the UK, soon paper money will be phased out by polymer money. The production process of paper money is extensive, but we will be covering some of the more important stages. Every stage of the production is secured and strictly controlled. Every note that goes into production, even the ones that spoil, must be accounted for at the end of the process. Artwork, graphic design, and the inclusion of all security features that must appear on a note occur at this stage. Once the design is created, it is submitted to the authorized parties for approval. Once approved, the banknote will go into the plate making stage. This is an intricate and long process involving things like color separation. The digital proof prints produced in the design stage are sent to high-precision equipment that will make the mother plates that will be used for intaglio printing, where the ink that can be found below the plate surface is used for the printing. From these mother printing plates, the final printing plates are made. Once the plates are ready, it's time for the printing of the currency notes. Here, many things happen, but the first is that a polymer or paper substrate is selected depending on the currency note that is under production. Then the substrate sheets are subjected to a high-speed rotary process that will print multicolor background designs and tints both on the front and back sides of the sheets depending on the designated design. Then comes the intaglio printing at the back, where the substrate sheets come into contact with the printing plates at high pressure and ink is transferred to the paper or polymer to make 3D fine lines, which can be felt by hand. These lines are also letters, but ones that can only be seen under magnification. The substrate sheet then undergoes another round of intaglio printing, this time on what will be the front end of the banknote. Once the printing is complete, the sheets are varnished to make them more secure. They are stacked in hundreds for cutting. After cutting, each note is passed through a quality control section where it is inspected for defaults. The approved notes are counted, stacked into bundles of thousands, and stored so they are ready for delivery. Thank you for watching this video.